Welcome to a Song of Ice and Fire Symposium. My name is Nav, and my pronouns are they, them.
And my name's Harmat, and my pronouns are Hershey.
And this is a Clash of Kings.
Oh, that's weird!
Prologue. In this prologue,
we meet Stannis! Great guy!
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Book 2!
Oh my!
Here we come!
Oh my gosh. Who are we? Finishing the book in less than 2 years? Wow.
I can't wait. Okay. So, what did you think of this first introduction to the book?
Oh my gosh. This was interesting. I was like, okay, there's this maester dude. And then there's this girl, and I was like, what? And then I like left, and then I just restarted, and then I was like, oh, this is cool, this is interesting. So I'm glad that I stopped, because I feel like the first time I started reading, I was just not in a reading mood.
I tried to introduce it to you, and you were like, yes.
Well, yeah, I don't find Stannis that interesting. So when you were like, oh yeah, like we're gonna meet Stannis, I was like, okay.
But like, this is the first time we...
Yeah, but like he doesn't, he never seemed that interesting to me. That's why he was one of the only people that I was like, I want to know more about, but I don't need a chapter from him. So he was the only one I insulted like that.
But this is then the perfect way.
Exactly.
We didn't get a chapter from him, but we got to know more about him.
Yes, we did.
So, this was quite a long prologue.
Yes, it was.
Are you up to summarizing it in 30 seconds?
Oh my gosh, I can try.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so we meet a maester, and then he like talks to I don't remember her name, Stannis' daughter, and he's like, she's so sad, and she wants to see the eagle and stuff. And then he talks to the Davos dude, and he's like, what's up? And he's like, yeah, nobody wants to bow down to Stannis. And he's like, well, we're screwed. And he tries to talk to Stannis about it, and Stannis isn't listening to him at all about anything. And then his wife comes in, and he's like, you're gonna bow down to these people who you have a rightful thing over? And he's like, no, I'm not gonna bow down to them. And then Maester goes to sleep, and then he wasn't woken up in time for the feast.
Stop. Okay, so that was 30 seconds, but I'm gonna give you a minute.
Okay, cool. So then he wasn't woken up in time for the feast, and he's like, and then he has a pretty big grudge against this, I don't remember her name, they just call her Red Woman, and then he's like, I'm gonna kill her because she's the one who's poisoning these people's minds with all these ideas and doctrines that aren't true, that I've never learned. And he's like, and then he gets the poison that he's not supposed to use, but he's going to use. And then he tries to poison her, but she knows that it's poison, so she, like, leaves the poison for him to drink, pretty much. And then he, dies. But before he died, they were like, you're not Maester anymore.
Okay, that was more than a minute.
Yes.
Cool. I just wanted to get your take on the whole thing. That's why I was, like, extending the time. She left the poison for him? What do you mean by that?
So I just assumed that she, like, somehow drank it, but, like, left the poison. Like, drank the drink, but just left the poison, and, like, a little bit of the drink.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but...
Yeah, okay, sure. Let's talk about it when we get there. So, why don't you take us through the thing?
Okay, what is the symbol where it says prologue, and then it has the little symbol?
You have to show me your thing.
Cool.
I think it's just the chapter marker. Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, well, I like it.
Mine looks different than yours.
Oh, that's lame. Okay, well.
Yeah, it's just a thing.
It doesn't mean anything. Okay, cool. So, we start the chapter, and Maester's, like, staring at the sky, and he's, like, thinking about ravens, and he's like, oh my gosh, I don't like these things that are surrounding the castle to make us look more intimidating. And he does this the entire chapter where he's like, Dragonstone isn't that great, and this is the beginning of that. Mm-hmm. And then he's thinking about, like, what the comet means, and he's like, this is an omen, and then he's like, I'm a maester and I know everything, so omens aren't real, and he's just having this back and forth where he's like, maybe I don't know everything. And then...
Yeah, so did you recognize this comet?
Yeah, it was the thingy that went across the sky when Daenerys was like, that's a sign.
Yeah, so it's the same one.
It also went across the sky in the short story, and I brought this up to you and Christina, and y'all were, like, icing me out.
We don't know. That was like a falling star. That wasn't a comet.
Oh, I thought it was the same thing. My bad.
It's not.
Okay,
I
whatever.
don't think so.
Whatever. Anyway.
Because, yeah, you'll see why.
Okay, cool. So...
Okay, wait, also, you were making the connection in the short story to, like, comets mean dragons, and we're learning about the Targaryens.
Yeah.
But, like, here, they're, like... So, like, Daenerys has that clear connection to dragons, but here, like, this random maester's like, yeah, that's a sign for me. Like, you know, it's it's not so specific to the Targaryens as you were thinking. That's why Christina and I were like, well, let's wait.
Okay, cool. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, cool.
And I don't know if you realize, but this comet's been, like, around for a few days at this point.
Yes.
So, like, the falling star that Dunk notices...
was not around for a few days.
Exactly.
Well, I have a stupid theory for why it's been there for a few days, but now, because of what you've just told...
What's the theory?
No, I'll tell you later, when we get to it.
Oh.
But now that you've just told me that, I'm like, dang, that can't be true anymore. But anyway, I'll just explain it later.
Okay.
So... As he's thinking about these, like, he's like, what does this all mean? I'm a maester, I should... As he's thinking about all this, Pylos, who's, like, kind of like his, you know, maester...
Replacement.
Yes, not kind of, but yes, his replacement. Pylos is like, yo, there's people here. So there's the princess, what's her name? Shireen. And then...
Yeah.
What's the dude's name? Patches. It's Shireen and Patches.
Patchface.
Oh.
Yeah, she calls him Patches, but his, like,
okay, cool.
real quote-unquote name is Patchface.
Okay, cool. So, Patchface and Shireen are here to see the eagle thingy. The white eagle.
No,
the white raven.
The white raven.
I don't know where eagle came from. Yeah, they're here to see the white raven, and they're like, oh my gosh, how's it white? And they're like... He's like, oh, well, the Citadel, who monitors, like, you know, pretty much, like...
Weather and stuff.
Yeah, weather and stuff. They send, like, white ravens, because they're, like, super, like, they're the only ones who have them, so you know it's, like, verified. But I'm like, then wouldn't you... Then, like, your messages wouldn't be anonymous. People would be like, this is from the Citadel. Let me, like, see this message.
Well, the only messages they really carry are, like... This specific one was like, summer is over now. This is kind of something you want everybody to know.
Okay, cool. See,
I don't think they send secret messages. They will send messages that are like world changing, that everybody needs to know, kind of thing.
I was gonna say, like, that doesn't seem like a great system if you're like, I don't know. But yeah, okay, cool. That makes sense. Well, that's cool that they, like, monitor weather. Of course they do, but, like, cool.
This summer, he mentions, has lasted, like, over 10 years.
The longest
and
summer.
It said, the longer the summer, the longer the winter.
That's scary. We don't like that.
But all these, like, kids have only ever known summer, and now they're gonna have to deal with winter. Oof. That's tough.
All the...
It's like all the COVID kids that don't know what anything else is like.
They don't know how to hang out with people. Sad vibes.
Yeah, so Shireen's there, and this, like, consistent thing throughout the chapter is, like, him remarking on how old he is now. He's like, my hands tremble, my hip hurts, I can't walk, and blah, 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 blah. It's kind of really sad, because, man, old age sounds like it sucks.
Definitely, and he's, like, still trying to do all his duties, and he's like, no, I can do this.
Instead of just being like, yeah, I'm retired now, I'm gonna go just hang out in this room, he's like, no, I'm gonna go all the way across the castle to this other room to confront Stannis about what's happening. If I were him, I would just be like, I'm retired now. Let Pylos take care of it. It's about time that you took care of me.
Yeah, exactly. So he's talking to Shireen's like, oh my gosh. Shireen's like, oh my gosh, had dreams that the dragons were about to eat me. And the maester's like, bro, don't worry. Like, the dragons...
They're not real.
They're not real. Like, it's just for, like, to make us look more intimidating and, like, all these different things. Like, you're fine. It's all good. And she's like, yeah, but Dala and Matrice were talking, they were talking, and then the red woman and my mom were talking, and I'm scared now, because they said that it was dragon's breath in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, that means dragons are alive, because, you know, how can you breathe if you're not alive? And at this point, Crescen's like, oh my gosh, I hate this woman. And...
yeah, he's a bit biased.
And he's like, no, it's just a comet, like... You're fine. It's just gonna be here for a little bit, hanging out. And she's like, oh, well...
The one thing I want to mention, just like, so we get a description of Shireen. She's got her dad's square jaw and her mother's unfortunate ears, apparently. Like, what makes ears unfortunate? But sure, whatever. And she's got, well, part of her cheek and neck are covered in grayscale, which makes it look like stone. So she had some kind of illness at one point, which left that mark. Just pointing that out.
And also, when he's, like, describing her, he's like, she's the saddest child he had ever known. I'm like, alright, that kind of sucks. Poor kiddo.
He's like, all she has to hang out with is this fool, and it's such a dreary place, and blah, 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 blah.
Dude, she probably likes his company more than her parents' company, so let's be honest with ourselves. They don't seem...
Yeah, just let her enjoy her life as it is. Like, why do you always have to be like, well, it's not as good as the kids over there, so it must not be great. I don't know. Like, I get it. It kind of sucks. Dragonstone doesn't seem like to be that, like, it's a great place for a kid, but... Like, she doesn't seem to say that. Yeah. It's just him saying that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she doesn't know what she's missing out on, so just, like, let her live her life.
Yeah, she's not like, oh, I wish I were elsewhere. Yeah. He's like, yeah.
But he, like, also, it's kind of like, he pretty much thinks of her as, like, his granddaughter, so it's kind of like that.
He wants better for her.
Yeah, but still, it's like, just let her do her thing.
Yeah. And he's like, well, she's ugly, so obviously that's the saddest thing ever.
Yeah, literally. It's like, okay, buddy, we can calm down. And then Patchface has this little song that he sings. It's like, the shadows come to dance, my lord, dance, my lord, dance, my lord. The shadows come to stay, my lord, stay, my lord, stay, my lord.
What did you think of Patchface? He's an interesting character.
Okay, I have, like, this is so stupid. I feel like he's, like, you're gonna make fun of me. I think he's, like, turned into, like, an ocean animal now. Like, I feel like he's, like, I feel...
Like he's a merman?
No, not a merman, but I feel like he's, like, well, maybe a merman. I didn't think about that. But, like, I don't know, like a clam or, like, a starfish, like, something kind of, like, fun and small. I feel like he's literally an ocean animal.
Like, in spirit?
No. Like, actually turned into an ocean animal. But for some reason he...
But he still looks like a person. I know,
but, like, I don't know, like... Okay, so he, like, looks like a person, but then when he goes into the ocean, he, like, takes that form. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe when we go along the chapter, I'll remember, like, where I made that theory.
Made those connections?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was, like, when... Oh, right here. It says, to his dying day... Jami had sworn that Patchface's flesh was clammy cold. And as soon as I read that, I was like, well, what if he's an ocean animal?
Yeah, I think that's supposed to imply that it seemed like he was dead until all of a sudden he woke up.
I know, but still, I was like, what if he's an ocean animal? That could be kind of cool. I don't know, I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like there's something.
Let's talk about his backstory a bit.
Okay.
So, like, Stefan Baratheon, like Robert's and Stannis and Renly's dad and his wife had gone across the sea to Volantis, where they met Patchface, who was, like, enslaved, and therefore he has these, like, motley tattoos on his face, like a checkered pattern, which is why he's called Patchface, and they found him to be very intriguing, so they bought his freedom and were bringing them back with him. bringing him back with them to Storm's End when their ship broke up within sight of his castle. Yeah, so it just broke in a storm 2 feet away. Not 2 feet away, but like they could see it standing at the castle, and they were so close. Yeah. And like for days after, all these like dead bodies would just wash up on shore. And one day they saw Patchface, and they're like, "Oh, another dead dude." And when they like tried like touched him, he woke up all of a sudden, and it was strange because like where had he been for the last like 3 days? You know, how did he survive the drowning and whatnot? So maybe he did turn into an ocean animal.
I feel like he was like about to drown, and then I don't know. Somebody was like, give us your like not somebody, but like something or some animal was like, give us your
force.
Give us your like I don't know, like your like different talents or whatever, and then like we'll grant you life.
And he was like, I'll take that deal. So that's why he's like so fixated on the ocean and sea things now.
Yeah.
But what about the shadows? The shadows like aren't that directly related to the sea, are they?
No, I don't think so.
So is that just like
maybe he I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't think about that.
Okay.
I just in my mind that was a separate facet of him. I wasn't thinking about that along the lines of this theory, but that's fine. It's okay. You can be an ocean animal and still like, you know, think things. I don't know. Like he just thought of it.
Okay,
you know?
So he could. All right. So he's focused on the sea, but he has like other things occasionally.
Yes, exactly.
Well, this like "Shadows Come to Dance, My Lord" song is very haunting, and Shireen doesn't seem to like it, but she can't get him to stop singing it. But and then Crescent's like, I wonder if I should have killed him all those years ago.
It's like, okay, buddy.
Like, yeah.
Like, what did he do? He's singing a song, and now you're like, you should have killed him? Okay.
Yeah, but he's the only one that survived that disaster, so good for you, Patchface. Mm-hmm. So yeah, continue.
So then, Pylos tells him that Davos is here, and he's like, I wasn't woken up, even though normally I would be, and he's kind of concerned, and he's like, okay, cool. Hey, Shireen, Hey, Shireen, let's pick this up later. I gotta go talk to your father. Mm-hmm. And then, my favorite line was he's like, there's too many steps in this castle, and it seems to me they add a few every night just to vex me. And I was like, poor kiddo. And then I was like, not kiddo, but like, poor dude. And then, he kind of like explains the castle, and there's a chamber of the painted table on the stone
which is
drum.
Really cool.
I know. All these things are like actually cool, and I'm like, this like y'all Westeros, y'all gotta keep up.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to this because like there's later an exact description of the table that I want to talk about. But he basically like gets Pylos to help him to the other part of the castle, and then he leaves him at the stairs and is like, I gotta do this alone. But as he's like on his way to the other side of the castle, he's noting all the people gathered at Dragonstone and how like they've been commandeering ships. Anybody that comes within sight of Dragonstone this past half year had not been allowed to leave again.
Oh my gosh.
So there is some army building happening, but there's not enough people for them to fully take over King's Landing yet.
So then he
climbs the tower.
Yes, he gets there and he sees Davos like climbing down, and he's like, hey bro, what's up? And then Davos kind of reports, he's like, yeah, like nobody wants to rise for Stannis because Renly has some of them under his wing, and then the others are like, no thanks. And then Renly has his own Kingsguard now, except it's called a Rainbow Guard, which is interesting. Yep. But why is that such a Renly thing? I was like, of course he has a Rainbow Guard.
You don't even know. What do you think the significance of that is?
What do you mean?
Why is that such a Renly thing?
I don't know. He's just that like show-offy type. You know what I mean? Like that. Like I'm not gonna have a King's Guard. I'm gonna have a Rainbow Guard. Like it's gonna be more colors, more like vibrant. Like he's not the sleuthing type. You know what I mean? He's more the like you know, it just feels like part of his personality.
He's just likes to show off. Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yes.
So we get to know Davos a little bit. He calls him Davos Shorthand because Stannis chopped off his fingers because he was a smuggler back in the day, but he saved them from starving during the siege of Storm's End. So Stannis named him a knight and gave him lands and stuff. So it's like you get punished for the crimes, but then you also get rewarded for your
And that's in line with what we learned
things.
about Stannis, where he's like, nope, you gotta get your crime no matter what you do.
Yeah, just to a fault, he says.
Yes.
And Davos is like, he gives it to him straight, like...
He's like, ain't nobody but to help you, buddy. Like, no.
Yeah. And Crescent's like the guy who, like, had his... Oh, by the way, Davos was like, yeah, you can chop off my fingers as long as you do it yourself. Which is, like, one of those, like, northern, like... It's something that Ned would do, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the man who passes the sentence should wield the sword thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so...
And then, Crescent is like, okay, I get that you, like, want to be honest, but, like, Stannis is obsessed with this. Like, maybe be a little bit.
Embellish a little. And then he's like, yeah, but then I would be lying, so I'm not gonna do that. Which is fair.
Yeah. And then he's like, okay, well, good job, Davos. Bye. And then he gets to the, you know, the room thingy, and then he sees
the room with the painted table.
Yes. And then he gets there, and Stannis is there, and we see the painted table, and it's really big.
It's carved in the shape of Westeros. Mm-hmm. Like, it's got all the bays and stuff. And the detail I love is that it says, there was a single chair in the room, carefully positioned in the precise place that Dragonstone occupied off the coast of Westeros, and raised up to give a good view of the tabletop. I just love, like, they put a little island there as well, and it's a chair.
Yeah, it's so cute. And I just love that it's in the perfect spot. I'm like, yes, this is so good. Because it's like, if you're gonna...
It just speaks to me, just everything.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't know why, though. Like, obviously this is a lot cooler, but this just reminded me, like, when you're a kid and you have those, like, map placemats that have, like, a map on them.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I'm like, is this just, like, for his, like, strategies and stuff, or would people actually sit down and eat here? But I feel like it would just be for
since
strategies.
There's no other chairs.
Yeah, but, like, Stannis alone could just, like, sit in his chair and, like, hang out with himself, which I'm sure he does a lot.
The table was commissioned by Aegon the Conqueror when he was planning on conquering the realm, so he needed, like, a nice visual aid.
Yeah, that's true. I just had a fun time imagining Stannis sitting down to eat at this table that has, like, you know, holes and different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and so, like, Stannis and Crescent... Okay, so Crescent has been here for a while. You know, he's 80.
Yeah.
And Stannis is just like, I knew you would come, old man. That's, like, the first thing he says to him. And I'm just like, wow.
He's very blunt.
I'm like, wow, Stannis is interesting character. And so he kind of describes Stannis at this point, and he's like, yeah, he's not 35 yet, but he doesn't have a lot of hair. He has, like, a tightness to him, and I was like, yeah, that's believable.
Yeah. Men call him hard, and hard he is.
Yeah. He had a mouth that had forgotten how to smile and never knew how to laugh, so I...
Remember during that interaction with Jaime and Cersei when Bran sees them, Jaime's like, oh, Stannis is enough to give anybody that indigestion. This seems to fit that, doesn't it?
That was funny. Oh my gosh. And then he's like, why didn't you wake me up, Stannis? And he's like, well, you're old. Go sleep. And then he's like, I'm sure you found out what Davos said. What did he say, huh? And they're talking about it, and they're like, oh, Stannis is mad. He's like, they're marching for Renly. Like, when Robert was king and Robert was doing his rebellion, I was a great younger brother. And now Renly is being an awful younger brother, and I don't appreciate this. And he's like, they're rightfully mine, by rights.
And he's very bitter about the fact that Robert gave Storm's End to Renly and left Dragonstone for Stannis.
Yeah, he's like, I only defended Dragonstone because he needed me to. It didn't mean I wanted it. And it's like, okay, well, sometimes you gotta do things you don't want to do.
Yeah, and Crescent's like, well, it makes sense, because he needed, like, a grown person to take care of Dragonstone. And Renly was a kid.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I can... It sucks, but this is, like, 15 years ago.
It's like, okay, but at this point, like, I get that he's like, oh, like, now the throne is mine and, like, I should have the throne, but, like, the 15 years ago thing, I'm like, buddy, that was just, don't you want the realm to be safe?
Yeah. He's very selfish in this. He's like, well, this is my right, so I want it. Not because, like, I'm gonna be the better ruler, just because it's what I'm...
Yeah.
It's mine. Like, that's all the extent of it.
Exactly. And major middle child vibes. Just, like, trying to, like, prove yourself, and you're like, you suck. Stannis is kind of like a standout among Baratheons, because, like, how we were talking about it while we were discussing the Hedge Knight, all the Baratheons are all these, like, boisterous, loud, like, fighters, and here's Stannis, who's just like... Stannis is like, I will kill ya. And then at one point, he was like, oh, Renly's a lesser man than me. He let himself get knocked down by people who were better fighters than him. And I was like, what?
Well, he's like, Renly fights in tournaments. That's such a childish thing to do.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And Pylus seems to, like, agree with that. Like, he's like, Renly's impulsive. He just does whatever he wants. Yeah. He's not really one to listen to counsel and advice.
Yeah, and he's like, what if you, like, you know, like, get together with your brother to defend the Lannisters, because you need the people. And he's like, no, I will not bow down with a fake king. And then he's like, okay, fine. You know what? What if we Stark's a good dude.
Yeah, Rob's a dude.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. And he's like, nope, he's not a true king, and he's literally a child.
Declared him Kim for half of my kingdom. Yeah. And Crescent's like, but you can avenge Ned Stark. And, like, bro up with him over that.
This part was interesting.
And Stannis is like, why should I avenge Ned Stark? He was nothing to me. Oh, Robert loved him, to be sure. Loved him as a brother. And how often did I hear that? I was his brother, not Ned Stark, but you would never know it by the way he treated me.
I felt bad. This was the one part where I was kind of like, oh, dang. He definitely,
Yeah, but this is like, sure, you're like his biological brother, but
like, he's his
Robert
bestie.
Grew up in the Eyrie with Ned. I would understand why that makes Ned more his brother than Stannis.
I just felt a little bit bad for him. I was like, aw, he's like...
Yeah, he's kind of the unloved one. Crescent's like, I'm the only one that ever loved you.
Yeah, well, he doesn't love you back, so where did that get you? Just kidding. But, like, obviously he cares about you. He just doesn't care about you. He just doesn't think you're capable anymore, just because you're old. Anyway...
Yeah. So Crescent's like, okay, if not Robb Stark, what about Lysa? You know? The Aarons. Why don't we team up with them? We'll marry your little daughter off to their little son, and it'll be all goody. And and this is interesting. He says, the boy is weak and sickly. Even his father saw how it was when he asked me to foster him on Dragonstone.
So he asked him, but then, like, nobody else knew this.
He says, but that damnable Lannister woman had Lord Aaron poisoned before it could be done. And now Lysa hides him in the Eyrie. She'll never part with the boy.
I mean, I agree.
And Crescent's like, yeah, well, send your daughter. Like, he doesn't have to come here. And Stannis is, like, kind of considering this.
And then his wife comes in, and he's like, you're gonna beg to widow women and usurpers? And I was like, ugh. He's like, from the first sentence, I don't like you.
She is not very likable.
Yes.
She's as tall as her husband, thin of body and thin of face, with prominent ears, a sharp nose, and the faintest hint of a mustache on her upper lip. And this is kind of like brought up to like make fun of her all the time that she has a mustache, and I'm like, so what?
And, like, we all,
like,
every single person has a bit of a mustache. Like, let's calm down.
Yeah, like, I just hate the fact that this is like, because it's like one of those, oh, she's bad person.
Yeah.
And all, like, that's why she has a mustache, you know?
It's, yeah.
Like, I just don't like this part.
Yeah.
But I do like her eyes were pale, her mouth stern, her voice a whip. She cracked it now.
Yeah, that part was nice.
Yeah.
And, like, I get what she's saying. She's like, because, you know, when Catelyn was telling, not John, she was telling Rob, she was like, oh, like, you know, like, your men need a certain amount of fear so that they don't, like, go up against you. And I get that, like, you know, if he's like, oh my gosh, can you help me?
Please
help
me.
It's kind of like they're not going to be
work.
afraid of him anymore, and they'll probably just like take over. And like, I kind of get that, but at the same time, it's like,
well, but there's like a difference between begging and allying.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone,
like they're, I think they just have too much of an ego to understand that. Like, to them, it's like, if I go to them, it's a sign of weakness. But it's like, no, be like, I can help you with this, and you help me with this.
And you can help me this, yeah.
But
exactly.
I don't think they understand that kind of diplomacy.
Yeah, there's and she's like, well, you are their king and you'll get your place by the grace of God. The Lord of Light. Mm-hmm. And we find out that she's been totally sold on this new religion by Melisandre, the Red Woman.
Yeah, but before that, I also wanted to just point something out. Like, he says, like, oh, like, him and his wife didn't, like, have, like, a great, like, loving relationship. Like, it was just kind of like it was just like kind of like, okay, we're married, now we have to have kids, so we're gonna have sex to do it. Like, that's just kind of their relationship.
Yeah, it's very like dutiful as opposed to like passionate.
Yeah, and he says like, and the sons he had once hoped for had never come. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, for him, for that, he's probably like, oh, I'm like my own legacy, so I need to like freaking like rule a kingdom and do all these different things, you know? Like, in his mind, he's not like, oh, my son's gonna rule after me. It's like, no, I'm gonna like build my own name, and then that'll be that. So then when I'm dead, it's like, that's my legacy.
So, well, once, say he becomes king and rules the entire kingdoms, who's gonna take over after him? Who do you think his plan is?
I don't think he's thought about that.
He's just so much on the, this is mine now, I want it right now.
I think it's just like, I need to do this over other people, you know?
Yeah, well, Stannis is not impressed with his wife being like, the god will take care of it. He's like, yeah, I don't care about your god. Do you got a army hidden somewhere? Like, what are we talking about here? And she's like, well, my family will rally to your banner. And he's like, yeah, not enough. I need like a whole kingdom, not like one house.
And then she's like, oh, well, you know, in the sky, it's like red, and it's a sign that you should be the true heir.
Yeah.
She's like, you're the Lord of Dragonstone. And it looks...
Therefore, obviously, you're the dragon.
Exactly. But, like, also, he has a little bit of Targaryen blood, right? We were talking about that?
Yeah. Their, like, grandmother was Targaryen.
And then she's pretty much just like, this is your destiny. And then she's like, only say the word and embrace the power of the Lord of Light. I'm like, okay, all right. We're just...
It's a bit of religious zealotry.
Yes, just a little
bit.
And then Stannis is like, how many swords is this lord gonna give me?
But she's like, well, why don't we start with Highgarden and Storm's End? And he's like, how's that gonna happen? And she's like, well, you know, Melisandre has seen Renly die in the flames. And Crescent's like, wait, you mean you plan to kill him? That's kinslaying. It's a sin.
Yeah.
And, well, what do you think about that? She's like, it exactly says, Melisandre has gazed into the flames and seen him dead. Does this mean, like, she's foreseen his death, which is inevitable, or that they're gonna plan to make it happen?
I feel like it's more, I don't know. I think it's more just like, I think she just said that. Because I do think that
So she didn't ever see it. Like, this isn't real.
No. I think it's more of, like, the planning thing. Like,
Oh, they're gonna... This is like, I've seen it happen, so you just have to, like, push this one thing. Like, it'll happen if you don't do anything, but it'll help if you do it anyway.
Yeah, I think it's just like that, like, oh, like, it's not your fault, it's meant to happen anyway, so...
May as well make use of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, may as well make sure that, like, it's not in vain that he dies. Like, gotta pop in there when we kill him.
Yeah. So Stannis wants to consider this and sends Crescent away while he listens to his wife's counsel. And, you know, Crescent, like, leaves and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And he's thinking about Melisandre. So she's Melisandre Vashai, sorceress, shadowbinder, and priestess to R'hllor, the Lord of Light, the Heart of Fire, the God of Flame and Shadow. So he's got a few titles there.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't trust her. I don't trust her
I gotta
thinking.
do something about this.
I gotta end this, because this is gonna result in Renly's death and, like, probably other bad things that I don't agree with. And, like, he's like, nope. So then he goes and gets his little poison crystals, and...
Yeah, so they're so purple that the Maester found himself thinking that he had never truly seen the color before. What do you... If purple is your favorite color, so are you
oh my
like...
gosh, no, I want to see this shade of purple. It must be, like... Because my favorite shade of purple is, like, that, like, vibrant purple where it, like, hits your face and
like
you're
a jewel.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this is a little bright.
Yeah.
So... I would love this.
Yeah, they're like little crystals, and he tucks a few into his sleeve pockets.
Yeah.
And, oh no, he doesn't do that now. At this point, he just, like, takes a look at them.
This reminds me of when we were talking about, like, Maester Luwin and how he just kept bringing things out of his pockets.
Yeah, I love that. I love their pockets. I want those robes. So... we learn a bit about the poison. It, like, chokes people to death, basically. It's called a strangler. You know, it could be that somebody was poisoned, or they just choked on some food. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, okay, now I gotta go take a nap. And I was like, yes, I feel you there. So he goes to take a nap, and when he wakes up, it's, like, the middle of the night, and the feast has started and everything, and nobody woke him and told him to come join them. So
Mans is kind of
like,
salty.
okay, I gotta get to... Yeah, so that's when he tucks some poison beads into his pockets and shuffles over to the Great Hall, which the doors to which are set in the mouth of a stone dragon. This castle is so cool, like, to imagine.
Like, why is this castle a cool one? Like, this is literally, like, not even in the continent.
Well, because the Targaryens built it, and they had ways of shaping stones since lost to us.
Yes,
remember?
But, like, why didn't they also do that for, like, the main...
But they had Dragonstone for hundreds of years before they became...
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Before Aegon the Conqueror.
Oh, okay. Cool. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They're so cool. What the heck?
The Targaryens.
Yes. Look at them go.
Well, good news for you. There's a whole show being made on Targaryens.
Really? Oh
yeah.
My. Okay. I mean, we're not going to get there for like 20 years, but that's cool. Oh my gosh. But as he's thinking about, like, he's like, oh, they didn't summon me, and he's all sad. He's kind of thinking, he's like, oh, Robert had done first and better. So it's like...
Yeah, he's like, Stannis is so sad. He tried to, like, stand out, but everything he did had already been done, so...
Yeah, well, now he's literally... he's kind of doing exactly what Robert did, except now he actually kind of does have a right to the throne. And, like, Robert didn't really. Robert's was more of a rebellion.
Meanwhile, for Renly, Crescent's like, even as a kid, he was always like, look at me. And now he's like, look at me, I'm a king. He's always, like, been a bit all about, like, seeking attention.
Definitely can see that. And, yeah, just, like, the theme continues of him being like, I'm not afraid, but I am afraid, but I can't admit it. And he's like, ah. And then he kind of gets inside, and he gets to the raised platform where all the special.
But before he gets there, he runs into Patchface, who topples him over, and they fall in a tangle of arms and legs and stuff. Because he's Patchface is just so into his dancing, he doesn't notice,
Yeah.
And Crescent falls, and he's having a hard time getting up when somebody pulls him to his feet, and he's like, "Oh, thank you, sir," and turns out it's Melisandre. And here's a description. As ever, she wore red head to heel, a long loose gown of flowing silk as bright as fire, with jagged sleeves and deep slashes in the bodice that showed glimpses of a darker blood-red fabric beneath. Around her throat was a red gold choker, tighter than any maester's chain, ornamented with a single great ruby. Her hair was not the orange or strawberry color of common red-haired men, but a deep, burnished copper that shone in the light of the torches. Even her eyes were red, but her skin was smooth and white, unblemished, pale as cream. Slender she was, graceful, taller than most knights, with full breasts and narrow waist and a heart-shaped face.
Heart-shaped face. Oh my gosh. She must look cool.
Yeah, I'm reading the illustrated version this time, and let me share the picture with you. I'll put this in the show notes for people to see as well. This is at the end when Crescent is dying of poisoning.
Oh my gosh. She's fierce. Oh, that's Crescent.
Yeah, it's a good illustration, right?
Sis do be cool.
Yeah, she sounds scary and cool.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely both.
And she's like, "Be careful, dude. The night is dark and full of terrors."
She's like, "Buddy, don't do it."
Not yet. Well, she looks at him and looks at Patchface, and she's like, "A clever fool and a foolish wise man," and places Patchface's helm with the antlers and bells on Crescent's head, and makes fun of him.
Yeah.
And he's just like, "Oh, it's fine. I'm just gonna go sit over there in my place." And when he gets there, Pylos has taken his place. And he's like, okay. Why don't you wake me, dude? And Pylos is just like, "Well, Stannis told me not to. You're no longer needed." And Pylos looks around the table, and all these dudes are like, "Oh, I'm so cool. I'm dressed in all these colors and jewels and stuff." Meanwhile, Davos is like, "I am wearing clothes. That's the point of clothing."
Yeah.
And Stannis is like, "Yeah, you're too old for me now."
And he's like, "Stannis didn't say that. This
Stannis,
isn't him.
my lord, my sad, sullen boy, son I never had, you must not do this. Don't you know how I have cared for you, lived for you, loved you despite all? Yes, loved you, better than Robert even, or Renly. For you were the one unloved, the one who needed me most."
Well, dang.
I guess not anymore.
Guess not anymore. He's like, "No, I don't need you."
Yeah. Wait, by the way, I meant to show this to you earlier. Not show, meant to... What do you do when you're listening to something? Okay, listen to this. This is Patchface as the audiobook narrator.
Okay.
Does it.
"Eat fish," the fool declared happily, waving a cod about like a scepter. "Under the sea, the fish eat us. I know. Ho, ho, ho."
Oh. That's really
It's
funny.
it is it is haunting. This doesn't leave my head. I know.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
So, basically Crescent doesn't have a place to sit anymore, so Davos is like, "Hey, come sit with me," and Stannis is like, "Yeah, go over there and don't bother me." So he does. And what happens? Oh yeah, he's just chatting with Davos. Davos is like, "We're all fools here today, celebrating a victory that is..." Because Stannis has decided that he is going to, press his claim, even though he doesn't have the numbers to back it up. And it's just a fool's game they're playing today, so yeah. And meanwhile, Creston's like, okay, I'm sitting too far away from Melisandre. How do I poison her? How do I poison her? And then he's like, hey, Stannis, you should take my advice, but if you don't wanna, all hail R'hllor. Let's share a drink in his honor. And he like goes over to Melisandre and like he grabs Davos's cup and very sneakily slips some poison into it. And Davos is like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And when he like slips the poison into the cup, he's like, my hands haven't been this steady in years. I'm sure nobody saw other than Davos. So like, okay, that sounds sarcastic, but what I'm trying to say is, how did Melisandre know that it was poisoned?
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. She definitely has some sort of powers / foresight, or like foreseeing stuff that like we don't actually know.
Yeah. So like while he's talking, Lady Selyse, Queen Selyse rather, is like, you're a fool. Put on the hat from Patchface. And he has to wear the antlered bucket over his head again. And finally he's like, okay, let's share a drink. And he walks up to Melisandre, and Melisandre's like, it's not too late to spill the wine, Maester. And he's like, nope, we're gonna do this. So he hands her the cup, and she takes several long drinks. And what is it? Oh, and then she, like, there's only like a little bit of liquid left, so a little bit of wine left. So she hands it back to him and is like, here, your turn. And as he tastes the wine, Melisandre says, he does have power here, my lord, and fire cleanses, he being the Lord of Light. And at her throat, the ruby shimmered redly. And Pylus starts choking, and it says, as he sank to his knees, still he shook his head, denying her power, denying her magic, denying her god. And the cowbells held in his antlers, singing, fool, 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 while the red woman looked down on him in pity, the candle flame dancing in her red, red eyes. So even though he's like denying her at the end, his like cowbells kind of undermine him and is like, ha, you're a fool for denying her.
Yeah.
So what did you think?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, wait, first, let's talk about the fact that you were like, okay, she drank just the wine and left the poison. Well, my interpretation of this is she like drank the wine with the poison.
And just survived?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
the fire
that's
within her cleansed it.
That's true. I guess I was just like, oh, he didn't mix it, so she could have just left the poison at the bottom. Like, I was thinking about that.
No, I think she totally drank it, but it just didn't affect her.
That's crazy.
And she drank so much of it, and he had like one little sip, and he's like, I'm dead. You know?
Dang, she does have power.
What do you think of this new character?
I kind of like her, but at the same time, I'm like, what is she gonna do? Like, what is her lord's motive, you know?
What do you think?
Okay, I have like the stupidest theory, but it's there.
And you have to tell me your theory about the comet, was it?
Okay, yeah, they're like pretty much connected.
Okay, tell me.
So you know how the entire time he's kind of like, oh, it's an omen. And then right before he like falls asleep, he's like, perhaps it's my comet, an omen of blood, foretelling murder, yes. And obviously at this point he's like, oh, it's an omen that like I should kill her. But it's like, I'm like, I don't know, I was thinking,
oh, is it your death that the comet is predicting?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, if that's true, then it was his death because he's the one who died. But at this point I was like, okay, what's going on? So here's my theory. Okay, so I was like, why? Like, what is she trying to do, you know? And my first thought was like, okay, like, she wants a spot on the council, you know? And then I was like, but she's like, she has, like, these, like, powers, like, why would she want that, you know? And then I was confused. So then I was like, I think she's connected to Jorah because she's from Asai and
Ashai.
those lands. Yes, Asai.
But Jorah's never been to Ashai. Not that we know of.
Well, maybe in the events that we haven't seen yet, they did go to Asai.
Okay.
They went to Asai. And
they
then,
being who?
Like Dany, Jorah, the whole gang.
That party?
Yes. They went to Asai. And now she's on their side. So she's here.
Okay, so in between the time...
Yes.
From when Dany saw the comet that appeared a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Dany went to Asshai on the other side of the world. Met Melisandre. Sent Melisandre back to...
No. I think it's been longer than that. Because I think...
But then how long do you...
How is the comet still there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like... What's her name? Melisandre, like... I don't know, like... Has the comet somehow. Like, she, like, harnessed, like, the comet. So now she just, like, has it there, you know?
So Melisandre is working for Dany secretly.
Yes.
But why would Dany send her to Stannis, like,
because
the usurper's brother?
Okay, I don't know. But she needs... Okay, so she has dragons, right? But she has, like, no people. So she needs, like, somebody. So now if Stannis can get rid of Renly... And then Melisandre could just, like, get rid of Stannis.
Why didn't she just send her to Renly in the first place?
I don't know. I just feel like, for some reason, she's like...
Alright, so in the next Dany chapter, we'll hear about how they met up with Melisandre and, like, made this happen. Okay, cool.
Yes.
What are your other general predictions for this book?
Okay, I think I said this before, but I think Lysa is gonna join the Land Clan, but Maya is gonna betray her, and... I don't know, like, tell Rob or, like, whoever it is and be like, the lady's working against you!
Okay,
because
cool.
Lysa's, like, terrified of the Lannisters and...
I like that idea.
Oh my gosh. So then, I was just thinking, like, this was kind of tied into my other prediction. I was like, okay, like, Dany has dragons. Like, she can definitely, like, if there's, like, a battle where she has, like, slightly less people, like, you know, she can, like, use her dragons, you know? But she still needs people. So I was like, how's she gonna do that? And then, we talked about this before. I was like, Sansa's gonna, like, have, like, secret plans. And then at some point, the Hound is gonna help her in her...
Secret plans.
Yes.
Okay.
And then...
Wait, no, but you never finished your thought about how's Dany gonna get the people.
Oh, well, now she's gonna...
Oh, the Stannis theory. Like, okay. Through Melisandre. I see.
Yes.
And that
makes
sense.
It really doesn't, but that's okay. So, okay, so my theory is that, we talked about this once briefly, but Arya is going to be at the Night's Watch now.
Like, when we meet up with her, she's just going to be there?
Yes. And
John's going to be there?
Yeah. Well, I think John... Actually, no. I think by the time... Actually, no. When we get to her, she's going to be, like, traveling to the Night's Watch, and then once she actually gets there, I feel like John's going to be, like, gone on a trip.
Ranging.
Yeah. So they won't actually get to meet for a while, if ever, but, you
know. That sucks.
Yeah. And
why not just, like, because Winterfell's on the way to the Wall. Why not just, like, drop her off there?
Maybe they're just getting really desperate for people, but I don't think so. I don't know, though, but I feel like she's going to the Wall.
Alright, who else? What else?
Benjen is a white now.
Okay.
Gosh, I feel like a Benjen chapter would just be boring. I don't really care about him. Bran's gonna have more wacky dreams.
Wow.
Ready for that. Anyway, I don't trust the Tyrells and the Red Ones. I don't know. They feel sus. I feel like they're gonna do something. Like, I don't know.
Tyrells and Red Wines?
Yeah.
Like the people that are allied with Renly at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're gonna betray Renly?
No, I think they're gonna, like, if Stannis is like, oh, I'm gonna, like, harness their power or whatever, I feel like they'll just betray Stannis. I don't think they're gonna wanna...
Oh, so, like, after Renly dies.
If Renly dies, then they're gonna betray Stannis.
Okay.
And I feel like they're probably gonna... So I know they're, like, heading out. Like, I know Stannis is like, oh, let's go and, like, march and, like, go kill people or whatever, right? But I feel like... So they said, like, that the Florents were close to where Renly was, right?
Yeah.
So they're probably gonna use that? Or are they gonna go kill him? So I feel like they're just going to use that, so then they don't have to go all the way to Highgarden.
So they'll get the Florence to kill Renly? Like, that's what you're saying? Okay.
That's what I was saying, but I feel like the problem with that is, though, like, okay, they kill Renly, and then they don't get there for a while, you know? So I feel like they need to be there when Renly dies, because they need to, like, take over.
That would make sense.
That's true. Okay, so they can't do that. That's everything that I had kind of written down and, like, I'd thought about.
Okay, that's good. Let me tell you a little bit about the appendix in this book.
Ooh.
So I would recommend that you generally stay away from it, but there's like certain places where you would want to go to it.
Okay.
So I'll tell you the titles of the sections in the appendix. There's The Kings and Their Courts, The King on the Iron Throne, being Joffrey, The King in the Narrow Sea, being Stannis, The King in Highgarden, being Renly, and the King in the North being Robb.
Oh my gosh, there's so many kings!
And there's the Queen across the ocean, or across the water, rather. And that's Daenerys, obviously.
Oh my gosh!
And then the other one is, like, other great houses, like House Aaron, House Florent.
Like, King Beyond the Wall? That's also a king.
That's not here, but there's, like, the Men of the Night's Watch. That's one of the sections.
Oh.
So, here's my recommendation to you. If you ever come across a name and you're like, I don't know who this person is, unless you're, like, obviously meeting them for the first time. Like, it's obvious when it's somebody new being introduced for the first time. Don't look them up, like, right then. But if you, like, okay, they're treating this person like we've met them before, but I have no remembrance of who they were, then, like, go to their specific, like, people that they're aligned with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it's somebody from Highgarden, like, you know, go to the King in Highgarden and then look up their name at that point.
But if it's spoilery, isn't that bad?
That's what I'm saying. Don't look at it unless you need to look up a specific name.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it. So I can't look at the appendix at all. Can I look at it after the book?
Of course.
Oh, well, that's like 2 years.
We're going to try to make it quicker, but okay. So that's that. There's also maps at the front. Why don't you look at them and tell me?
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Ooh, the north, the south. Ooh, okay. Oh, so they're, like, really detailed.
There's more.
Wait, I'm looking at it. Okay, fine. I will move on. The south. The land beyond the wall. Oh, we're gonna go beyond the wall. The lands of the summer sea. No idea what that is, but that's okay.
Honestly, that's not even really relevant to this book.
Iron Islands. Oh, this is, like, near River Run and stuff. Oh, this is where, like, they were all fighting, and they were like, what's this? Oh, King's Landing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So anyway, it's cool. It'll give us more of a sense of the layout of the world, you know?
Does every book have different maps? Different appendixes?
Maybe. Honestly, I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
Let's move on to the chapters we're going to be reading next time.
I'm excited.
We're going to read 3.
Okay.
Your hopes and predictions.
Oh, I wanted to see... I'm going to predict my new people that I wanted to see. Can I remember who that was? No. Okay, wait. So now that I've kind of gotten more of a sense... Okay, this book is literally called Clash of Kings. So we need somebody over by, like, Renly. And we have Daenerys. We need... Who do we not have? Yeah, and now we have the... Oh no, the Maester's dead! Oh my gosh, how are we going to keep an eye on Stannis?
You tell me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we need... Okay, wait, this is problematic. Now we need more... Okay, so we need... Let's say we have a Renly chapter.
Who in Stannis's sphere of people would you want to see a chapter from?
Oh, Patchface.
Cool. Okay. What if all of his thoughts are just riddles?
Okay, that would be kind of cool, but kind of annoying.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so let's say we have, like, Renly chapter, and then we have, like, a Jon chapter, and then we have, like,
Jon
we always have a Jon chapter, and then, like, do I really want to see a Bran chapter right now, though? You know what, let's go with a Bran chapter.
Okay, so the first 3 chapters are characters we've already had.
Oh, okay. So let's say Bran, Jon, Tyrion.
Cool. Okay, so chapter 1 is Arya.
Oh my gosh! Arya! Harry.
So she's going to be on the road to the wall.
Yes.
I don't think that needs much elaboration.
She's going to be like, why am I here? Why did you take me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Chapter 2 is Sansa.
Oh my gosh. The only problem I have with this is now we have Tyrion and Sansa in the same place, and it's like, well, we could have...
Has Tyrion arrived in King's Landing already?
Oh, that's true. I don't know. Okay, so
You
Sansa's
don't.
there. So Sansa's there. She's gonna be like, getting better, and she's gonna be like, I hate you all. I can't believe I was so blinded. And then she's gonna be like, oh, Tyrion's coming. Cool. And
She's going to be excited about that?
I don't think she's gonna care much. I don't think.
Okay.
You know, I don't know what she'll be doing. Well, I guess we'll find out more about the Land Clan plan.
Okay.
We'll find out more things that Joffrey fucked up, probably.
All right. Well, chapter 3 is Tyrion.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, let's just say Tyrion is there now. I doubt he will be, but I'm gonna say he is there now. So Tyrion's there. He gets there and he's like, this place is in shambles. What have you been doing, boy? And they're gonna be like, why are you here? And he's gonna be like, well, I'm the hand of the king, and I'm here to be the hand of the king. And they're gonna be like, and he's gonna be like, well, shut up, and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. And I really hope he slaps Joffrey again. I need that repeat. I really do.
But Joffrey's king now, so it's a little bit more risky.
That's true. Definitely don't want to die.
Yeah. Okay, good predictions. So those are the chapters we'll read next time. Now I want to get some listener feedback.
Oh.
So we had a tweet from D.Anon who said, just wanted to tell you people that the podcast is real fun. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you, D.Anon.
And then we got an email. I love getting emails. The subject was greetings from Germany.
Ooh, okay.
So this is from Victoria. Victoria says, hey Harmat, hey Nav. I'm about to finish the episodes for the first book. I discovered your podcast through the Restricted Section podcast and really enjoy listening to you both. Yay, shout out to the Restricted Section and Christina.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Right?
That's really cool. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, there's more. Hold on. I've read all the books, watched the series, and just love the story. But just like Nav, I couldn't motivate myself to reread the books. So thanks to you guys, I can experience the story again, and I plan to read the second book along with you. Best, Victoria.
Oh my gosh.
P.S.
Yay, that's so cool.
I really like the music you chose for the podcast. So shout out to Maria for composing our music.
Yes.
If you want to see more of her work, I'll link it in the show notes. And then Victoria also has some fun facts, or a fun fact, which is there are 10 Game of Thrones books in Germany. And no, we don't have any secret extra books, but each book is divided into 2 books. If you're wondering why, there are 2 theories. 1, money. You can earn more by selling 2 instead of 1. Yeah, makes sense.
That's true.
2, paper. In German books, it is generally thicker than in English books. So if you put everything in one book, it would have been too long or too big.
Oh.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
That's really cool.
And actually, for the next book and book 5, the copies that I got for you are also divided into 2s.
Really?
They're just that long.
Wow. Wow. Oh my.
Yeah. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you for your email. I loved getting it, and we're so glad you're enjoying the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yes. Do you have any wrap-up thoughts for today?
Okay, I just want to point out Stannis should have just joined with Robb, because it's like Robb, like, if he, like, once he explained to Robb, like, why he is the rightful heir, like, Robb...
Because, like, even Ned was like, Stannis is the rightful heir.
Exactly, and, like, that's literally the exact same, that would literally be Robb's reaction, too. You know what I mean? Like, he needs to just...
Stannis is unfortunately, like, this is how the world is supposed to be. These are the rules. So why isn't it that way? Like, instead of, like...
Instead of, like, how do I you know,
get it to my vision of the world.
Yeah, it's like, no.
Just like, well, this is how it's supposed to be.
And it's
be
like, okay,
that way.
well, just because things are supposed, like, things aren't gonna be just because they're supposed to be, buddy. Like, calm down. And I'm like, dude, like, ugh, whatever, it's fine. But at the same time, it's like, well, now that he's king of the North, like, would he still? Because now he has this, like, different responsibility, you know what I mean? Like, before that, it would be like, well, duh, I'm gonna bow down to him because he's the rightful king. But now it's like, ooh, but, like, king of the North and, like, our ancestors.
Yeah. Who knows?
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I swear to God, if we don't get Rob chapters, I'm gonna riot.
Where?
I don't know. I'll just complain about it enough that you'll be like, oh my gosh, stop.
Okay, I'll just keep my mute feature working. I guess that's everything then. You can email us at popculturesymposium@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram at popculturesymposium. Otherwise, until next time, farewell, my friends.
Talk to you later.